by a 7-5 margin. It's now 7-6 as that blast by Chiasson is right on. A lot of pushing and shoving following the whistles.
There really is a lot of pushing and shoving. There's a lot of chippiness here. You know, the Russians, as we talked about earlier, have gone to, you know, a little more dump the puck and go after, not so much regrouping and a lot of figure eights that they used to go into. The Brian Orser, they're not as gifted as Brian Orser either, but, and now we notice after the whistle, a lot of pushing and shoving.
Chiasson's shot is blocked. 3 Soviets dropped in front of that one. And now they move it out into the neutral zone. Zigorov shoots it into Canadian territory. Chiasson is back there after it. He plays it around in the boards for Keane. He's having some problems getting out of there. Fleury comes over to help out and moves it into the neutral zone. And there's going to be a penalty here against Fleury of the Canadian team. That was a penalty after the behind the play, actually.
Yes, it was behind the play, and it's unfortunate. Those are the things we talked about, you know, that this team, I've often said when we're in competition, we're going to maybe get a look at it here coming after. No, the problem is that you can take the hard-working penalties. You can't take those reaction penalties, and it's tough. Because, hey, with all due respect to Fleury, he's taking a lot of heat after, too. But, you know, you just got to have to suck it up a few times here because they're going to try and tempt us into that kind of stuff. He got a slashing penalty, I think, didn't he, Don?
Slashing call at 9:05. The first penalty of the hockey game. The Soviets with the manpower advantage. And one of the things that has stood out in the tournament has been the penalty killing of the Canadian team.
Outstanding penalty. It's the old story. You got to get that specialty teams, your power play and your penalty killing. And if that's very effective for you, the chances are you're going to win.
Galchenyuk flips it over to Popov. A long shot fired wide. Galchenyuk unable to control it along the boards, and Canada dumps it down the ice. Latta out there with McElwain killing off this penalty for Canada. Hawgood and Wesley on the blue line. 1-1 the score. 1:20 remaining in the penalty to Fleury. The pass by Popov broken up by McElwain, and the Soviets have to retreat to try and set up. Pass cross ice picked off by Latta. Latta takes it in deep, trying to kill off some of that time. Steve Nemeth also out there for Canada. McElwain has gone to the bench, and these two, Nemeth and Latta, have forced the Soviets back into their own zone. Latta goes off. Elnick comes onto the ice. He and Nemeth out there now, but Elnick has gone to the bench. He took a hit there. He may have been hurt. I think he is feeling some discomfort as he goes off. The Soviets at the side of the net trying to set something up. Shesterikov in the corner. Shesterikov back to the point. Namikov, a shot right on. And the rebound is grabbed and held by Jimmy Waite.
Elnick is hurt. He took a stick there, and it was a high stick across the chest and the leg. And I see now, we're now in front of the net. There's that Konstantinov that we were talking about. He's their captain. That's what that K is for. And without question, one of the premier players. Played 66 games in the elite league in Russia already. He is, without question, one of their leading stars, and he's only 6'4", of course. That's all. With all that skill, I'll tell you something, he's a hockey player.
205 pounds, and every NHL scout who has been here attending the tournament drooling. They would dearly love to not only get his name on their negotiation list, but figure out some means of getting him to Canada or the United States.
Don, if we could bring him home as a free agent in our suitcase, we'd have 21 teams lined up. You can be sure of that. And they'd be fighting in the corners for him.
20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Fleury. Zelepukin against McElwain. The face-off to the left of Jimmy Waite. McElwain has done a good job throughout the tournament in winning those face-offs. He got another, got it back into his own zone. Chiasson overskates it. Zelepukin along the boards, having problems there with Nemeth, and Nemeth fires it down the ice. What a tournament Nemeth has had. He came to the Canadian junior team from the Canadian national team, the team that won a silver medal at the Izvestia tournament in Moscow. The two sides now back at even strength with Fleury out of the penalty box. A victory by Canada by more than 5 goals will give Canada the gold medal. A victory will give Canada the silver. A loss, and they get the bronze. A whistle on the play as the puck hits the mesh high above the glass.
There's, you know, Canada's playing a very good game. They got some good opportunities there. They're getting some inside chances. And if they just keep working at their game and don't worry about any of the other things, they're going to get more chances. That we were talking a little bit earlier about the coach, the Russian coach, you know, and there's a lot more to it. If you remember, he didn't let his team eat after one loss. He didn't let them have breakfast the next day, and then he wouldn't let them have, after another loss, he didn't have the post-game meal. The only thing I can say, Don, I hope they don't eat tomorrow.
Well, we certainly haven't had any complaints in that department. As a matter of fact, we've been eating far too much. The Czechoslovakian hospitality has been great.
Outstanding.
Popov, long lead pass. He was looking for Galchenyuk in the neutral zone, broken up by the Canadians and fired back in. We've remarked a couple of times about some of the chippy play, the pushing and shoving following whistles. Well, these two teams are the most penalized in the tournament. The Soviets have spent 110 minutes in the penalty box, Canada 106. And 12 of those penalty minutes by the Soviets have been incurred by the coach, Vladimir Vasilyev. And this is something very unusual to get bench minors that often.
12 minutes, very undisciplined. You can't expect your team to be disciplined if he's that undisciplined in himself. You know, if he's young, don't ask him to do what he's not